Kathleen Wynne has spent as much time thinking about creating jobs as she is spending time with lawyers these days. I mean, I'm focused on jobs, but I've got a job to do as well. I'm the official opposition leader. Lisa MacLeod is doing one heck of a job as our energy critic, holding the government to account for this energy scandal.
Well, Tim Hudak, PC Leader in Ontario, could become the lead, if you will, interest in a lawsuit coming up brought by Premier Kathleen Wynne. So Antonella Tuso is the Toronto Sun Queen's Park Bureau Chief, and she joins us from Queen's Park. And Antonella, what's the latest development in terms of the Wynne-Hudak story?
Well, neither side is backing down. Right now we have a libel sort of standoff, and there is some confusion about exactly what's been filed. Premier Kathleen Wynne's people said they filed a libel notice on Friday. Tim Hudak's people say, well, he received a tough letter from a lawyer, but currently neither side is backing down. Premier Kathleen Wynne said this morning that it was unfortunate it came to this, but as far as she's concerned, she has to get rid of these allegations that somehow she was involved directly, hands-on with the criminal destruction of public documents. Tim Hudak says it's just libel chill. She's obsessed with creating work for litigation lawyers and not average Ontarians, and that in fact he's going to continue to defend the public interest as he sees it in the gas plant scandal.
Well, and he goes a little bit further. He says they are not going to silence us, will not be part of the cover-up. Is something embedded in that, Antonella, pointed at the NDP?
Yes, if you look at the situation right now, when Tim Hudak talks about the gas plant scandal, who's keeping the Wynne government alive, he keeps a lot of pointy sticks for NDP leader Andrea Horwath. He often says, well, if Andrea Horwath and Kathleen Wynne are comfortable with covering up the facts, then he is not. Now, that is not, as you can imagine, how the NDP sees it, or as the Liberals see it, but it's certainly his argument.
Yes, except that you get somebody like Sid Ryan weighing in on this thing. Let's just briefly, Antonella, get to Gina Phillips, because Gina, you've got that part of the story.
Yes, absolutely. Surprise, Ontario's Labour movement says they hate Tim Hudak, essentially, just to sum it up. Well, basically, they went full throttle on their Stop Tim Hudak campaign. On the weekend, they launched their meetings, and there's going to be 20 meetings planned across Ontario. Basically, all the Labour bosses get together and discuss how Tim Hudak could ruin the province of Ontario. They say that he could do great damage to Ontario's workers, despite the fact that months ago, Tim Hudak dropped that controversial right-to-work legislation, that proposal that caused a lot of people to turn their back on Tim Hudak, including some of his own candidates, mind you. Anyway, he dropped that, but Sid Ryan still going full throttle on this Stop Tim Hudak campaign, even tweeting and starting the hashtag Stop Hudak and saying things like this: Hudak is a clear and present danger. He has a low-wage agenda that will erode the standard of living for all Ontario workers.
Okay, Gina, thanks very much.
Right.
Antonella, I'd love to get your opinion on that, because with the unions lining up anti-Hudak, as you can see from that, are they necessarily pro-Wynne or Horwath?
Well, that's a very good question. A lot of people are wondering, certainly a lot of your viewers are wondering, why aren't the NDP immediately pulling the plug? And this answers a little bit of that question. Essentially, the Labour movement is so fearful of what a Tim Hudak government, especially majority government, would do, that they're saying, well, if there's anything in that budget, anything at all that we can support, then we think Kathleen Wynne should stay in government. And they will certainly be able to put significant pressure on NDP leader Andrea Horwath to support the budget. And so, as everyone's talking about this gas plant, the Labour movement itself has a whole other debate going on about what Tim Hudak has in mind for Labour reform.
Yeah, no question. And I guess they think that he'll sneak in right to work if he gets to power.
Oh, yes, absolutely. They don't believe him when he says that he's not going to bring in right-to-work legislation, although he has stated it emphatically that he's not going to do that. But there are a lot of other things he could do. He has said that he's going to look at the arbitration system. He thinks it's unfairly weighed against the taxpayer as employer. There's other measures in there that he could do to make the unions miserable. Certainly, they've made every attempt they can to make his life miserable.
You know, you brought up an interesting concept, the libel chill idea. You know, he'll keep his mouth shut, at least as far as Kathleen Wynne is concerned. How does that play, do you think, with the Ontario people?
I don't think it plays very well. Certainly, Kathleen Wynne has said, well, today the government House leader said that Kathleen Wynne's legal bill is being picked up by the Ontario Liberal Party, but I think taxpayers are concerned. I mean, in the past, taxpayers have paid for MPP insurance to pay for their legal bill, so that's up in the air. I think generally, most people think politicians have enough platforms to state their views. Kathleen Wynne is someone who can summon the media at any time. She can go into the legislature, hold a press conference. I don't know that they would think that using the courts to settle what is essentially a political dispute is the best way to proceed with public resources and possibly directly taxpayers' money in defending Tim Hudak and Lisa MacLeod.
Yeah, it could shift the temperature, but as you point out, we can't have a vote, if you will, or an election until there's a defeated budget motion, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, yes, Kathleen Wynne could sort of march down the hall here at Queen's Park and ask that the government be dissolved. There's no sign that that's happening. Basically, once that budget drops, there's 12 sessional days, they have to have a confidence vote. So the clock starts ticking as soon as we see that budget date. And as early as this morning, just minutes ago, really, the minister was saying, stay tuned, it's coming in the next coming weeks.
Antonella, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Pat.
Antonella.